At the height of the drought, thunder cracks across the sky for the first time in years. The rain finally returns to the land of Idodo after years of silence, but not through prayers or luck. It comes with the sound of a baby's cry echoing across the village. The villagers dance in joy, not knowing that a powerful debt has just awakened beneath their feet. Ojimodu, the rainmaker, vanishes into thin air, shouting, "The rain always remembers." The mother falls to her knees, clutching her child. She watches the skies with joy in her eyes and fear in her heart, knowing the price she agreed to pay is far deeper than she understood. What was promised must be paid. Sit back and find out as we dive deep into this interesting story. The ground in the Idodo community was cracked and dry. The trees stood like skeletons, their leaves all gone. The rivers had turned into dusty paths, and even the sky looked tired. No one could remember the last time it rained in this community. Children sat in the shade, too weak to play. Mothers prayed and fathers dug deep into the earth, hoping to find a drop of water. But nothing came. The animals were gone. The farms were dead. The village was dying. One evening, a woman named Nkechi walked slowly across the dry land. Her belly was big, she was heavily pregnant. She is going to have a baby soon. But her baby would come into a world with no water, no food, and no hope. The land is completely dry. One day, Nkechi stopped by the old market tree. The elders sat there, silent. Everyone looked sad. No one spoke anymore about rain. "I will go to Odumadu," Nkechi suddenly said. The elders looked up in shock. "No," said old Mama Ugana. "Odumadu was sent away long ago. He is dangerous." Nkechi said, "He was the rainmaker. He can help us." Another elder said he used dark things, he wanted too much. "But we have nothing now," Nkechi said. "If I don't go, my baby may not live." No one stopped her. They watched her leave, they had no strength to argue. So Nkechi packed some roasted cassava, tied a gourd of palm water to her side, and wrapped a red cloth around her head. Then she walked toward the rocky Forbidden Hills, where Odumada lived alone. The wind whispered through the dry grass as if warning her. But Nkechi kept walking. She was not afraid for herself. She was afraid for her child. She didn't know what Odumadu would ask. But she knew she had to pay whatever price he gave, if only the rain would return. The sun was hot, and Nkechi's feet burned as she climbed the rocky hills. The path to Odumadu's place was dry and silent. Even the birds did not sing there. Strange trees with twisted branches stood like watchers on the trail, and the wind made a sound like whispering voices. Nkechi did not stop. She held her belly and spoke softly to her baby. "Stay with me, little one. We are almost there." At last, she reached a small hut made of stone and black wood. Smoke rose from the roof. There were no flowers, no goats, no signs of joy. Just silence. She stepped closer and knocked once on the door, and it opened by itself. Inside, it was dark. The smell of fire, herbs, and something older filled the air. On the floor were bones of animals and little bowls filled with water and ash. Strange symbols were drawn on the walls. Then he spoke. "I knew you would come," Odumadu said. Nkechi turned and saw him. He was tall, with a long gray beard and eyes like deep water. He wore a robe of feathers and bark. His skin was dark and rough like the earth, and his hands glowed softly with blue light. "You are with child, and yet you came," he said. "My community is dying." "I came for rain," Nkechi said. Odumadu walked slowly around her. The sky does not listen to Idodo anymore. They forgot the old ways. They threw me out. "I did not forget," Nkechi said. "Please. My child needs water." Odumadu looked at her belly, then back at her eyes. "I can bring the rain," he said. "But you must pay." Nkechi said, "I have nothing." "You have something," replied Odumadu. "The one you carry." Nkechi's heart stopped. "What do you mean?" she asked. Odumadu pointed to her belly. "Your child's future will not be theirs to choose. The rain will fall, but the child will belong to the sky." Nkechi trembled. "What does that mean?" "You will see," Odumadu said. "When the first rain falls, the promise will be sealed." Nkechi closed her eyes. The village needed the rain. Her baby needed life. "I agree," she said. Odumadu nodded his head. Then he began to sing. Odumadu's voice was deep and strange. He sang in words Nkechi did not know. Words older than the village, older than the hills. As he sang, the feathers on his robe began to move, like they were caught in wind, though there was no wind inside the hut. He lifted his hands, and the little bowls on the ground began to shake. Smoke rose from them, rising up in the air. Nkechi felt her baby move inside her belly. It kicked softly, then strongly, as if it too could hear the song. Ojimodu turned to the wall and threw a handful of red dust into the fire pit. Gold and blue flames rose. Nkechi covered her face from the heat. The symbols on the wall began to glow. Then came the sound. A deep, rumbling sound like thunder far away. He turned and looked at Nkechi. "It is done," he said. "The rain will come to the village of Idodo." Nkechi's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." But Ojimodu was quiet. "Go now," he said, "before the clouds arrive." Nkechi turned to leave but paused at the door. "What will happen to my child?" Ojimodu stared into the fire. "The child will hear the rain, even when no one else can. They will belong to the sky. When the time comes, the sky will call for its own." Nkechi did not understand, but her heart felt heavy. Still, she stepped outside. The sky was no longer bright blue. Dark clouds had started to gather, slowly and quietly. The wind was cooler. It smelled like wet earth. She looked back, but Ojimodu was gone. Nkechi began her walk home. Her feet were tired, and her back hurt. But her steps were full of hope. Behind her, a single drop of rain fell and hit the dust. Then another. And another. By the time she reached the edge of the forest, the rain had begun to fall. Soft at first, then strong. People ran into the streets, dancing, crying, laughing. Pots and bowls were set out to catch the water. Children splashing in puddles. The drums began to beat again. The land of Idodo had been saved. Nkechi touched her belly and whispered, "What have I done?" Inside her, the baby kicked again, harder this time. And far above the clouds, the sky was watching. The rain poured down for 7 days and 7 nights. The rivers came back to life, singing songs of joy. The soil drank deeply, and little green leaves peeked through the ground like shy children. Goats bleated with happiness, and birds flew through the misty air. Everyone in the land of Idodo smiled again, except Nkechi. She sat in her small hut, watching the rain fall through the window. Her baby kicked more now, but it was different. The kicks came in time with the thunder, like a drumbeat from deep inside her belly. The wind blew gently through her doorway, even when the air outside was still. She whispered stories to her baby each night, hoping the sound of her voice would keep it close. But something inside her felt far away, like the baby was already listening to something else, something bigger than her. The elders called for a feast. They roasted yams and pounded fufu. They danced with palm leaves in their hair and painted their faces with white clay. Everyone gave thanks to their ancestors for the return of rain. But no one spoke of Ojimodu. No one asked how the sky had changed its mind. Only Nkechi knew, and she told no one. One morning, just as the sun began to rise behind the hills, Nkechi felt a sharp pain. The baby was ready. She called out to her neighbor, Uzoma, who ran to get the village midwife. The women gathered. They held her hands, wiped her face, and sang soft songs to guide the baby into the world. It was a long, hard birth. The sky rumbled with distant thunder the whole time. Just as Nkechi screamed her final cry, a strange breeze filled the room. Cold, but not scary. Then the baby came. A boy. His eyes were wide open. He didn't cry. He looked around the room as if he already knew it. And then, he smiled quietly. The women gasped. "I have never seen a child like this," the midwife said. Nkechi held him close, but his skin felt cool, like morning rain. He stared up at her with eyes that shone like silver. And outside, the clouds parted. But far off, on the hills where Ojimodu lived, the wind whispered. The promise had been born. But just when she thought the debt was paid, the sky whispered again.